Did the same thing last time too. Hi friends, Rusty back here at Central Florida Weather Live. Great to see you on a Tuesday right at 5:30. Jumping on, covering some storms again, a little bit healthier right now across portions of Central Florida. Let me zoom out and show you the big picture here, then we'll kind of get into the scenario. These storms developed along the Treasure Coast late morning and early afternoon, and then have just marched their way progressively north and west through the day. They're now beginning to line up right across I-4. Of course, this is the time home with a few additional stronger storms in portions of Hillsborough County as well. So let's get into what's happening at the hour. We have a special weather statement that's going to be in effect for the northwest sides of Orange County. You can see the live lightning count here. This storm is getting a little bit stronger right now. We have a special weather statement that goes until 6 p.m. Moving northwest at 25. So unlike the last couple of times I've been on, these storms do have some forward speed. They are racing fairly quickly to the north and to the west. Winds of up to 50 miles an hour. So again, this particular one here, the northwest side of Orange County, and it does include a sliver of Northeast Lake and a sliver of northwestern Seminole counties as well. Again, up until the top of the hour here. Some of the places that will be impacted: Sanford, right on the edge, but generally just to the west of Sanford, but certainly places like Apopka and Eustis and Mount Dora would be included in this. So again, this storm has kind of raced across I-4 and moving north and west. And again, lightning is beginning to pick up with this. We're really starting to see some pretty heavy rain right now, right across 44. Obviously, an opportunity for a little bit of hail associated with this as well. So again, even towards Umatilla, we'll be watching for this storm to continue to progress north and west at around 25 miles an hour. Additional heavier rain just south of there for Wekiva Springs and Forest City and Altamont Springs and Lockhart. And again, the Apopka area right now is kind of right on the edge. It's moving north and west, so generally it's a little bit stronger north of Apopka. There's another heavier cell really beginning to develop right now just south of the Colonial Drive corridor along 429, south of the Turnpike. So, you know, kind of the southern sides of Winter Garden and Oakland and Gotha and Windermere, and then you get towards Lake Butler and Dr. Phillips and Lake Buena Vista. This is where we have that pretty heavy cell. So what do you say we take a live look at what's happening right now from our camera? This is live. This is just a mile away from the Magic Kingdom. We are looking south and west from this view. You can see the heavy rain. I feel like every time we look at this shot, they got garbage cans out there. It's like garbage day every day there. But again, you can see the murky sky and obviously some pretty breezy conditions there. So fairly heavy rainfall right now down towards the attractions, Lake Buena Vista. Again, pretty common sight across most of the Orlando metro area, especially along and west of I-4 at the hour. Continue to keep you up to date with that view as well. So we'll go back out to this perspective. And again, that cell is also moving up to the north and to the west. And notice that we even pick up the possibility of maybe some pea-sized hail out of that storm. Additional storm in Polk County right now towards the Davenport, Haines City area. That one's moving north and west, trying to drift across I-4. And again, even up, let's get back up to this area here. Just want to mention for our friends in Celebration, that storm is kind of pulsing up at the hour as well. This will be moving north and west towards places like, Champions Gate and Four Corners. So again, here is this area. There's the 429. Champions Gate is down here. So again, this cell moving up, Celebration, Four Corners, and then north into the west. One additional heavier storm right now, and this is going to be near the Tampa area. And let me get you the information on that one real quickly as well here. So let's take a look at that particular special weather statement. This one is going to be for South Central Pasco, North Central Pinellas, North Central Hillsborough counties. It goes for the next 10 minutes until 5:45. Winds of 40 miles an hour. This one is near the Lutz area, moving northwest at 15. So in this area, we could see strong enough winds to maybe, knock down some tree limbs or certainly knock about some things that are loose, blown around unsecured objects, basically. So Land O'Lakes, Lutz, back down towards the Carrollwood area. Again, towards the greater Northdale area, you can see that storm right there, the particular cell is moving northwest at 13. Again, the opportunity for some smaller hail there. Right across 275 towards Carrollwood in the Egypt Lake Lido area. Citrus Park, right along the Veterans Expressway. So some heavier rain and storms moving through that area. Still even behind that, there's a decent storm over East Lake, Brandon, Mango again. Still relatively quiet in Pinellas County, and then some of that drifts into the northern sides of Manatee County. Additional showers and storms are developing across the area. We even have a few even back down into our southeast zones. But again, the I-4 drive, could you imagine just taking I-4 right now and looking what's happening across that entire area? It would be pretty nasty. So that's the overall view of what's happening here on this Tuesday afternoon. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're tuning in, first of all, I appreciate you hitting that like button for me, but more importantly, would love to hear from you guys. Let me know where you're viewing from. If you're seeing some of these storms, appreciate that information as well. You have a specific question about the forecast. So, rowdy storms across Metro Orlando, gusty winds, maybe even up to 50 miles an hour. Let's take a look at some of that. I'm going to actually throw on the wind gust data at the hour. And you can see that we have a lot of wind area wide. The Sanford Airport, 29 mile an hour wind. The downtown airport, 24. Kissimmee, 17. Even DeLand outside of the storms, 24. Very breezy conditions through the greater Tampa area there. Towards the St. Pete side, 28, 25. At the airport, 16 near downtown. Even over towards between Dover and Plant City, 21. So again, just really fresh winds. Another round of storms, by the way, does extend Lake Wales south and to the west as well. So breezy conditions here. And again, we're going to see a few of these pulse up. This is probably the next stronger storm right now. Windermere, Lake Butler, Dr. Phillips, once again, pushing off towards the northwest. So Bay Hill, again, a lot of the metro areas on the southwest side of Orlando getting some intense thunderstorm activity. Obviously, it's not a great time of the day with it being the rush hour drive home. Again, heavy storms there. And we have our one special weather statement here. On the leading edge of this is, I think, where we need to be monitoring for some stronger weather. So Umatilla, just to the east of Eustis, Mount Plymouth getting hammered fairly hard right now. And this will be driving up north and east. It will be getting into the relatively quieter areas of the east side of Berrien County and the Ocala National Forest. Additional storms developing at the hour near DeLand And you can see we have a 24-mile-an-hour wind gust there. Still quiet along the I-95 East coastline there. And again, Sanford Airport had a 29-mile-an-hour wind gust with 21-mile-an-hour sustained wind. So relatively stormy there. What do you say we take a look at the composite radar over the last couple of hours? So let me drop this off, throw that on, and then let's loop this up. This will kind of give you an idea of the storm movement. Now, again, if nothing else, at least, thankfully, these storms have some good forward speed. They are moving northwest, 15, maybe even 25 miles an hour. So they'll continue to move fairly quickly across one area. But again, they'll be pulsing up. A lot of lightning with these storms. You can see the live lightning count here at Central Florida Weather Live, pinging over 300 strikes in this view in just the last 15 minutes in a couple of spots. Kevin, good evening from Lakeland. I appreciate you. Best day ever 2020 says the East Orlando area near Azalea Park is drizzling. Kevin again says Old Polk City Road in Lakeland, been hearing thunder but no rain yet. Yeah, you know, these storms are just kind of pulsing up, guys, right now. They are becoming a little bit more widespread. So if you live along I-4 or west, you're going to have the better opportunity for storms. Still could see some additional showers, and we've had some of that back in Indian River County, but the sea breeze has progressed inland pretty quickly here. I was kind of watching it in the early afternoon. If I go back over to the live radar out of Melbourne and put this back on, we might be able to catch where the sea breeze is here. If I put this into motion, it's a little bit easier to see earlier in the day, but I really watched it come in. But you can see they are beginning to line up here, which is what they've done the last couple of days, right? They've lined up pretty good. So this is really beginning to fill in right across I-4 from really South Polk County all the way up to the northeast sides of Lake County. It looks like we do have a new special weather statement, by the way. This is going to be up here in Denellen. So kind of as you get into the border of North Citrus County and the far western sides of Marion County. So we do have a new special weather statement there for Denellen. Very small storm, but obviously a pretty potent storm right over Denellen in 41, 4 winds of 40 miles an hour. Okay, let's reset the view. And again, this will pop back on our times of arrival as well. So for Denellen, that one was just issued. It's going to go until 6:15. And again, for the northwest sides of mainly Orange County and then into the far northeast sides of Lake County, that goes to the top of the hour. You see the hazards on your screen, winds of 50 miles an hour. We're not talking about any hail at this point in time, but my radar is at least throwing on the opportunity for some of that. Special weather statement there again, mainly for Hillsborough and the south central sides of Pasco, goes until 5:45. So we'll see how that plays out if they want to extend that. But again, this storm is getting a little bit stronger here in Polk County towards Davenport, and then this cell over Lake Buena Vista. So I think it's a perfect time to go back to our live shot. Again, as the rain continues to fall, this is a live look from just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom. Okay, we're looking southwest in this view, which is a good vantage point to see that storm. It's actually going to be moving away from this area, but you can see the heavy rain continuing to fall. Right now, there's not a lot of gusty winds. Hi, Sean. How you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. Not a lot of gusty winds associated with that particular cell at this point in time, but again, the rain continues to fall there. And that area should actually get a little bit more improved weather. So if you have some plans to hit the attractions later on this evening, more than likely, as long as I don't see anything crop up down in this area, anything stronger than this, the weather should be improving. This will again be a pretty progressive pattern today, meaning that these storms do have some forward speed. So they should be clearing out, you know, with some haste relative to as slow as they've been over the last few times we've been on. So at least there's some forward speed there. Let me go back over to, just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. There is one other thing I want to talk about, and that's a flood advisory. We had one of these yesterday as well. So this is going to kind of be for this area right here, okay? It's going to be for Lake Orange and Seminole, but mainly East Lake and then the western sides of Seminole and Orange. So this is a flood advisory till 6:45 for the next hour. We've had some heavier rain in some of these spots, 1 to 2.5 inches. And again, this is an additional 1 to 2 inches. I feel like I'm reading this from the same area yesterday. I almost had to is this deja vu? Is this yesterday's advisory? But it's not. It's today's advisory, July 23rd. Again, it's just scary because it's like the same exact wording. 1 to 2.5 inches have already fallen, an additional 1 to 2. So low-lying areas, poor drainage areas could have a little bit of standing water. Obviously, watch out for ponding on the roadways as well. Again, if you're just tuning in, thanks for joining us here. Rusty McCranie, Central Florida Weather Live. Of course, live here on the YouTube channel. When storms are developing in Central Florida, we'll track them together. You have a specific question, you can drop it in the comment section below. Would love to hear from you guys. If some of you have chimed in already, I appreciate that. And again, if you haven't liked the channel or subscribed yet, appreciate you doing that as well. So again, back over to the big view. Western areas today are going to be our quieter zones. Still going to see a few spotty showers towards Indian River County. We'll watch and see what happens with this particular special weather statement that is in Hillsborough County right now, South Central Pasco, so Land O'Lakes, Citrus Park, Carrollwood, if you know that area, the 528, that's the Veterans Expressway, and basically the northern sides of Tampa. But there's even another cell here that's tracking back in. So I-4, 275, Temple Terrace, East Lake. It's going to be on the wetter side. So this one, I believe, is literally about ready to wrap up. And we'll see if the Weather Service out of Ruskin, which services that part of the state, will decide to reissue one. We'll see. If they do, it'll pop on automatically on the radar system here. Been some heavier rain in far southern sides of Manatee County, just to kind of point that out. Kind of even south of Sarasota, so I don't typically cover this far south, but there's a special weather statement. We'll see if that either pulls offshore or actually makes its way up towards the Sarasota area. So other than that, we still have our two other special weather statements. And by the way, again, these storms have a fair amount of lightning with them. It's a little bit more concentrated than what it was yesterday, but we can see some of that heavier rain, Mount Plymouth towards Eustis. And again, this is going to be driving into Lake County. It is going to improve a bit across I-4 in the shorter term. I'll put this back into motion. This is just going to be over the last half hour here once it loops up. But you can see that the rain is getting a little bit lighter right now for Sanford and on over towards Lake Mary and Winter Springs and Castleberry. Still some rain here. I-4 is still going to be wet, but the heaviest is beginning to pull away. Even towards Apopka right now, weather looking a little bit better at the hour for us here. Downtown Orlando, still a little bit of rain, but not as much. And again, this is the cell here that's going to be Ocoee, Winter Garden, Windermere, Hamlin, Lake Butler, Dr. Phillips, back down towards Lake Buena Vista, and kind of a little interesting appendage there towards Four Corners and Celebration. So let's go back out live. I'm going to bring up hopefully we'll pop back on here. Give me just 1 second. There we go. All right, let me reset something real quick here, guys. Sometimes it's not a big fan of me doing too many movements in too short of a time. But again, it's a fantastic system. It's an extremely, extremely fantastic analysis tool, man. There's so much that I can do with this thing. And when we get into the real squirrely severe weather, I think you guys will be impressed with what this can do here. What I wanted to do is actually switch over to the terminal Doppler site in Orlando. And you guys know that I've shown you this one before as well. So this is TMCO. Every major airport has its own terminal Doppler, which I can tap into. So we can look at the one in Tampa. We can look at the one in Orlando. Now, it doesn't have a big radius, right? We can't go out very far. But I was curious about this because the one thing that I like to do with these radars, I like to look at the winds. And the reason why I like to look at the winds with these particular radars is they're going to be very, very close, right? The winds are going to be almost ground truth winds. So whatever we see them reporting, we'll know. And I was just curious as to near this kind of little appendage area, whether there was some stronger winds. Getting 25 in Four Corners, not even that much in Celebration. So the brighter reds, by the way, are going to be your higher winds, and those are going away from the radar site as you would expect, right? We can kind of learn a few things. Here's the radar site, the red winds pushing away, so that's a westerly wind. So it's very clear to see, right? All the winds to the east of the radar are coming towards the radar because the storms are moving west, and all the winds to the west of the radar are moving away because, again, the storms are moving up towards the west. Check out Umatilla. Again, up to 30 here, and they have issued another special weather statement, so they're adding on to that one. Now, look, that is in the Ocala National Forest, so they'll issue it, but unless there's some campers out there, there's really not any big population. So north side of Umatilla, we'll have to keep an eye out for that, but after that one, we're okay with that particular cell. So just kind of interrogating the radar here while we're looking together. Sharon says, looks like the storms are over Forest City, just a drizzle right now, maybe some light rain until 8. Yeah, Sharon, I think that's a relatively good call. They are a little bit more progressive today. They're moving a little bit faster. That being said, to have a little bit of overhanging rain left over until 8, I think is a fair assessment. I would not disagree, if you will, with that right now, but I can take a look at some of the model data as well, too. Again, let me reset this here. I want to try and get back over to Melbourne's radar. Let's put this into motion for now. And again, if you're just tuning in, we've had a couple of special weather statements issued, which is why I wanted to jump on. The storms are getting a little bit rough over the I-4 corridor in the metro Orlando area. This particular cell on the northwest sides of Orange County was the stoutest one and still is. And again, we have a new special weather statement that was just issued for the eastern sides of Marion County. And as I imagined, the Weather Service in Ruskin did decide to re-engage this special weather statement. Now it's going to be for Land Lakes and areas west as we get into Pasco County, including Hudson, Bayonet Point, and the Newport Richey area down towards Holiday and just north of Tarpon Springs. And a new one down here as well, looks like for the inland sides of Manatee County, still staying away from Bradenton, might try and slip up towards Ruskin. So the storms overall getting a little bit healthier in these spots. All right, let me try one other thing here, guys. So again, love to hear from you guys. Appreciate you sharing. Thank you very much. See what's going on with our shot here from Lake Buena Vista. As you can see, that rain is already ending. So our friends in the Lake Buena Vista, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom areas, still got to deal with the rain. And Sharon, if you're still listening, that's kind of exactly what I expect for you to see as well, right? The opportunity to have some of this light rain, as you mentioned, linger well past the actual thunderstorm. Towards 8 o'clock, I don't think that's a horrible thought. Really, I think that's probably a pretty good call, more than likely. But again, the storms will become a little bit stronger overall as we get into the latter half of the afternoon here and into the early evening, as we even get a little bit farther off towards the west. Back over to the live radar. I brought up the Tampa radar here. And again, you can see these storms are just a little bit more significant right now through Polk County, portions of Manatee County, where you see those green triangles. That is the radar picking up the opportunity for some hail in a couple of those spots. Okay, so nothing extreme, but some isolated hail, maybe up to, let's say, penny size in a couple of areas. More than likely pea or dime for the most part there. But there could be a little bit of hail developing, especially as these storms pulse up a bit. And you can see the live lightning count as well, up to 237 strikes in just the last 15 minutes. Let's work our way a little bit farther up to the north. You can see the storms right now over Tampa. the greater Carrollwood area, East Lake Temple Terrace. Again, here, this is a heavier cell, but there is at least a little bit of forward speed. And let me get you the newest information, by the way, on that brand new special weather statement as well. So let me pull that up. All right, so here we go. This one is going to be West Pasco, and it even does slip into Hernando County there on the southwest side, as you can see that. Winds of up to 50 miles an hour. We got a cell near Land O'Lakes moving up to the north into the west at 15 miles an hour. The opportunity for some wind gusts of around 15, or excuse me, winds of up to 50 and moving northwest at 15. But that's a pretty heavy cell. Again, right over 589 is the Veterans Expressway. There's 41 over Land O'Lakes. Down towards the Lutz area, there's Citrus Park Mall, if you guys know that area, Carrollwood, Northdale, all of that kind of moving north and west. Now, eventually, this gets over towards Newport Richey and Bayonet Point and Holiday, so right across 19, so kind of crossing over the Veterans Expressway and then over towards US 19. Little cell has also kind of gotten rogue here towards 471. Might try and hit Dade City and Ridge Manor. I'll keep an eye out for that one. This cell has pulsed up a little bit over Davenport, Four Corners, Celebration. The rain's beginning to end a bit, but towards 27 there. And again, Lake Buena Vista, we're down to more light rain at this point in time. And then we still have our special weather statement right now. Now this one, by the way, is kind of rained itself out on the south side. So Mount Plymouth and north is where we have to be looking. But before it catches the Ocala National Forest, it's going to be Umatilla and areas off towards the east. That one, again, has some forward speed northwest. This particular part of the cell moving at 17. And again, that will be getting into the Ocala National Forest, into the eastern sides of Marion County. This is such a little tiny cell here, but it's heavy over Denellen. Not really moving much. Right now, the computer has it northeast at 5. The actual track from the Weather Service is northwest. Oh, sorry. That's the wrong one here. Let's see. It's the other Marion County one. North at 10, right? Right over Rainbow Lake Estates, if you guys know that area. It's one of the bigger communities of Denellen. Lifting north at 10. So basically just kind of going up 41. Small storm, decent amount of lightning to go along with that one as well. So that's the current kind of synopsis of what's happening here as we approach 6 o'clock. Again, appreciate you guys joining. You have a specific question about the forecast, you're welcome, Sharon. Just like Sharon did, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you guys as well. And while you're here, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, helps me out, helps the channel out tremendously as well. Again, I don't think these storms are going to get extremely rowdy. I think special weather statements are going to be probably what covers the strongest of storms for today. That being said, again, I wanted to jump on because I noticed that these were getting stronger and then over towards our far western areas as well. Let's go back over to this radar view here. I'm going to actually switch over. Yeah, that's composite, probably a little bit better. Let's loop this up. And again, you kind of get the idea if you're just tuning in, what's been the progression over the last 2 hours here. So just a 2-hour loop. Again, the storms developed eastern sides of Marion, eastern sides of Orange, back down towards Osceola counties. They really got going down towards the Treasure Coast a little bit earlier, but you notice that they've kind of lined themselves up. Now, anytime these are going to line themselves up a bit, there could be some decent winds, and we'll take a look at those winds coming up in just a minute as well. But that's what we've been seeing as they've marched off towards the west. So it will improve in Volusia County, the western sides of Seminole, most of Orange. We still have a heavier cell far western sides of Orange County, a little notch of northwest Osceola County, still a pretty good storm there, and then portions of northwest Polk and into far northern Hillsborough, Pasco, South Hernando, far northern Citrus, and into southwest sides of Marion County. That's kind of the overall view of things. Let's go back over to the live radar. Bring that back on. And let's take a look at the winds. So I'm going to throw these back on as well. So these are wind gusts at the hour. just a pretty fresh wind, right? Nothing crazy, nothing outrageous. But again, Tampa International has a 25. St. Pete area has a 28. Nothing out of this area here. This is probably the heaviest cell of Orlando Lakes. You can see the lightning count still relatively significant. That's a pretty solid 160 strikes of lightning there in the Land O'Lakes area. And again, that one does go until 6:30. This cell here has been relatively heavy, but just below the special weather statement criteria for Four Corners. That's going to take you up 27, by the way. Then Celebration, 192, and then up to 429. It's much lighter rain right now. This part of the cell never really got going. Dr. Phillips, Windermere, Oakland, Winter Garden, Ocoee, Montverde, and the Lake County. And again, this special weather statement is going to go bye-bye. I fully expect it. Now, the heaviest part of the cell is still going to be in this area, but this new special weather statement will cover that into the far eastern sides of of Marion County. 23-mile-an-hour wind gusts into land, sort of 30 in Sanford. But again, with this being a more progressive pattern for today, that's good because these storms aren't sitting in any one location for an extremely long amount of time. Because I can, let's go back over and look at this shot. So the rain's coming to an end in the attractions area. That's great news for those who like to go check out the fireworks on a Tuesday evening in that area. Still going to be, again, overcast skies, some drizzle. You still might hear some distant thunder, but obviously the most significant cells have moved off towards the west. And again, this is our first camera here at Central Florida Weather Live. There are more to come. We'll have much more live views for you guys. Obviously, integrating live cameras across Central Florida is kind of version 2.0 here. So this is the first one, but there's more to come. So it's going to be great as we track these storms live. This is an important camera because the attractions is obviously an area that I know is always going to have a lot of people outside in one area. So we always want to make sure that we cover this one. And it's just nice to have that camera available to us. Okay, back out live for us here. We're right at 6 o'clock. Still have 3 different special weather statements. Now, again, I'm not as concerned about this one in the eastern sides of Marion County because it's moving into unpopulated areas. That being said, the far east side of Umatilla, still some heavy rain there. Lightning count's decent at 27. Could be some very small hail out of this, but more than likely just some heavy rain and a fair amount of lightning. We'll see if that holds together, but probably even over towards Ocala and Bellevue, looking okay. This is still a very nasty storm that hasn't moved much over Denellen. You want to talk about a spot that could see some quick flooding. That right over the Rainbow Lake Estates area is a possibility. Wouldn't surprise me if we get a quick 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain, as that cell really isn't moving right now. It's trying to drift to the north, but 41 across that area is going to be wet. We're relatively quiet in Citrus County. Then we get back down into far southern Hernando. And this is the strongest storm right now. It's right over the Land O'Lakes area there in Pasco County, moving north and west. You can see the lightning count is still very high, 127 lightning strikes there. And again, that one will continue to push off to the north and to the west. So it is trying to get over towards the US 19 corridor. On that particular one, let's see here. On that particular one, the movement is northwest at 15, okay? And you can just see, again, towards kind of the Land O'Lakes area, it's very heavy storm activity across 41, 81 lightning strikes in just the past 15 minutes. It's lighter rain as you get down towards Citrus Park there on the Veterans Expressway, Carrollwood, Town and Country, University, downtown Tampa. Going to start to see quieter weather for Mango and Brandon and Riverview. Then on the far east sides of Manatee here, we have another cell trying to track a little bit closer to the I-75 corridor. We can follow these storms into portions of Polk County, far southern sides of Polk County, and then again back up towards Davenport, Four Corners, Hunters Creek. This cell here is really kind of falling apart fairly quickly. Still could see some scattered rain crossing Lake Apopka into Lake County, Montverde, maybe up towards just north of Mineola even as well. kind of south of Asatula there on 19, on over towards Mineola, but looking pretty good. And again, pretty gusty winds as well, 25, 30 miles an hour. Looking pretty nice for my friends along the coastline for today. By the way, a little storm over Gainesville right now, but that's a little baby storm. So Flagler County, besides inland Volusia, which is seeing a little bit of rain still, DeLand and Deltona, I-95 corridor, Ormond, Daytona Beach, and then back down towards Brevard County, we're looking pretty good. We've seen a couple of showers trying to develop in Indian River County here, Indian River Shores inland, but they're pretty spotty in nature. Don't expect those to be ones that would pulse up and be stronger. West Coast sea breeze has, the East Coast sea breeze has kicked in and marched its way west, and that's why these storms are moving off towards the west, again, relatively quickly for today as well. So it's 6:03 or 6:04. Our clocks are slightly off, but by probably less than 30 seconds here. Again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Wanted to jump on again because we had a couple of special weather statements again for today. Not expecting these storms to pulse up any stronger than that. But obviously, when there's some active weather here in Central Florida, I like to jump on. And again, there's no time frame. Can jump on at any point in time. Can stay on as long as I need to as well. But again, I think these storms are looking relatively good right now. This particular cell, although it's strong, will be getting into the eastern sides of Marion County relatively quickly. This is still a decent little cell here. Again, kind of far north Polk, kind of the far northwest side of Osceola, even to the southwest sides of Orange County, even South Lake. There's that kind of quadrant where we're talking about most of those counties that are very kind of close together for us here. So not a special weather statement here, but 27 is going to be wet. Even back over towards Celebration and 192, going to be on the wetter side. So Champions Gate, Four Corners, Hoffman areas there, even back down towards Davenport and Haines City. Again, this particular cell is moving up northwest at around 22, which I think is probably the average forward speed. Notice that we have a little bit of lightning right here. It's indicative of a cell that's relatively organized, and that one does have a small hail possibility as it moves north and west, but it's in a relatively rural area right now. And then this is the strongest storm. Right here, north side of Land O'Lakes, 41, still pinging on about 150 lightning strikes there. So that's going to be, again, 589 is the Veterans Expressway. There's 41. Everything moving up to the north and to the west. Put that into motion. Zoom out a little bit more. This is what it looks like over the last half hour. Again, this is all out of the Tampa radar because the storms are a little bit closer to the Tampa radar right now. I mean, obviously, we can switch radar sites. Take a look at the winds as well here. Actually, I'm going to take a look at a couple different things. These are the feels like temperatures. Wasn't the most outrageously hot day today. Yeah, you know, the actual air temperatures aren't horrible. Is it still humid as all get out? Absolutely. Couple of triple digit numbers out east where they didn't have any rain. But again, a little bit of air cooled weather right now. Even have a couple of 70s there. So overall, I think these storms are behaving. All right, a couple of special weather statements. This is a decent cell here. And again, you can see, by the way, that my computer tracks the leading edge of that, all right? And if you notice as well, there's your outflow right there. If you notice that green right there, that's the leading edge. So potentially that could allow that storm to hold together as it gets to Ruskin. But it's a nice shot. You can see the leading edge of that. And again, this particular cell here, kind of drifting more west. Everything should have a western component to it. Some of it more due west, some of it kind of more north and west as well. But Bartow and maybe towards Lakeland, but that cell might try and die out before it gets there. The areas that I think I'd be most concerned about to actually get some decent weather right now is going to be far southern Hernando, but mainly Pasco County, Hudson, Bayonet Point, Port Richey, Newport Richey there along US 19. That's probably the strongest storm at the hour. Come back out here live. Let's do this, actually. Let me think about what the easiest way to do this is. This is probably the easiest way to do this. That's the infrared satellite imagery, by the way, guys. Again, we can look at everything if you want to. This is the visible satellite imagery. It's going to be a little bit harder to tell because they're all clustered together, especially on that gray background. I use the gray on Central Florida Weather Live as a map background because it's clearer to see the storms and the street level mapping. When you have the actual terrain, it gets a little bit harder, but it is not as easy to catch that visible satellite imagery. What I want to do is actually bring on the models here. It's going to take me just a couple of seconds here to reset things because Sharon was asking about how long it's going to last. We can look at those things as well. Bring on the HER model. And again, this model updates every hour. So it's a great analysis tool as well. Now, if you've joined me when we've looked at the models, the first thing you got to look at when you're talking about an hourly model is does it have a good grasp of the initial conditions, right? It's a little bit weak with the storm in Pasco County. It's a little bit too robust in the western sides of Orange County. But generally speaking, it's not bad. Not too bad. So let's loop this up and see how this plays out. So you can see that the HER model does try and fill in some storms in Citrus and Hernando and Pasco counties here. A little bit of even a pulse up of a storm right there. Right across 75, portions of Hillsborough, southern sides of Pasco. And that's 9 o'clock tonight. Is that an opportunity? It's an opportunity if these storm cells can merge and then everything pushes off. So for the Orlando area, for city as well, as Sharon was asking, yeah, I think probably very light rain up until the 8 o'clock hour and maybe even some drizzle there. I don't expect it to refire like this. Sometimes the HER model likes to do that, but in this progressive environment today, if the cells were not moving very much, a little bit of a refire into the late evening is a plausible outcome, but I don't expect it to happen today. I think everything moves off to the west relatively quickly. So yeah, that's what it's going to play out with. And again, I-95 should be dry. So today it's going to be more about I-75 and US 19 eventually. Okay. That should reset things in a hurry, I believe. Excellent. Okay, guys, so let's take one more look at these storms, but I think overall we're doing pretty good here. Again, this cell might work its way into Ruskin, but this special weather statement expires in 2 minutes. Let me get back on the lightning data. There we go. This cell is the strongest cell for sure. So if you know anyone who lives near Hudson or Newport Richey, sorry guys, a little bit too far over that way. It is beginning to move into that area. Still throwing on the slightest chance of some hail. It's a decent storm out here into Sumter County. It's a decent storm into southern Lake County. Lightning is still okay with it. 63 lightning strikes here near Four Corners or just off towards the west. But it is moving away from more populated areas. Metro Orlando will be quieter for the rest of tonight. and a little bit of light rain over the western sides of Orange County. These cells are trying to hold on. One little one over Leesburg right now on 441. Again, all that moving up to the north and to the west. Forward speed on that particular cell is 13 miles an hour, so it's a little bit slower than what the Weather Service has been talking about. This cell is kind of really skirting the far eastern sides of that special weather statement, isn't it? Could it get up towards Astor? It's a possibility, but it also looks like it's weakening a bit as it does so. We still have this one right over Denellen. The other aspect of this, as I've mentioned before, but I'll do it again for anyone who's just coming in, is there's a couple of flood advisories. Well, there are two, but let's talk about this one. Now, and again, it's not going to show up on my map, but I can telestrate it for you guys. So I get to be John Madden here. And I will say that sometimes my John Madden skills are not fantastic. So bear with me. Let's see here. It's going to be oh gosh, that's horrible. That area, it's not the best drawing. Flood advisory, 1 to 2.5 inches of rain. An additional 1 to 2 inches of rain could occur. So minor flooding, low-lying areas, poor drainage areas as well. Actually, let me clear this. I can show you that. I don't normally bring all of these NWS products because it's a grind on the resources. But just looking to see here. Yeah, there we go. Told you, it's a grind on the resources. And I'll look and see if I can make this a polygon, because you notice that it's a fill of all the counties. Okay, so here you go. Again, flood advisory, it's only for the next half hour. So I can show you this. I want to be clear about that. It's just that it's kind of a resource hog, and probably not the best use of that. But when we need to talk about flooding, I can absolutely get into the details and the weeds with you guys on that one as well. And again, our special weather statements will also come up in a county box as well. But one thing I will look into is whether we can make these polygons. I'm not sure that's a possibility, but I'll look into it. I think I obviously here I can take off the fill. So we're kind of learning together. But anyway, you get the idea. For the areas that I mentioned, flood advisory 645, a little bit of ponding there as well. There is a special marine statement out here, by the way. Special marine weather statement, special marine warning. That one just expired literally right now, which is why it went away. We do have a special marine warning now with this storm. So again, we can really color up this map, guys, each and every afternoon if you want to. So let me drop those off for right now. Now they did add a new special weather statement, and it's going to be a little bit deeper into Hernando County. So this is the one area that I think could still see a stronger storm. That now includes places like Spring Hill. So we're basically going up 41, we're going up the Veterans Expressway 589, and then we're going up US 19 with this activity. Heaviest, again, Land O'Lakes, And there's a pretty good populated area here, 589 into this area. Not as heavy Citrus Park South, but there's still some communities. And again, areas north and west as well. Okay, friends, I think that's going to do it for today. I think these storms are pretty much in control. Again, the only one, I will point out is that if you know anyone who lives in this area or you live in this area, this should not be a severe thunderstorm warning, okay? But there is an opportunity for some stronger weather far western sides of Pasco County and then in the far southern sides of Hernando County over the next 40 minutes or so. These storms will then push towards US 19 and then get offshore. Everywhere else, I do expect that this weather is going to be coming down a bit as far as intensity goes, okay? So not a bad thing, but a little bit heftier right now into portions of Pasco and Hernando counties. Again, friends, I appreciate you guys tuning in. As we leave, if you want to do me a favor and just click that like button. If you are not a subscriber yet to Central Florida Weather Live and you like the idea of watching the these storms develop in real time, tracking them with me together, going over this data in real time, I appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Again, this is a live only channel. I'm only on when there's weather going on, when there's weather to talk about here. So if you have the notifications on, first of all, you're never going to get inundated with notifications here at Central Florida Weather Live. But if you have all the notifications on, you'll see when I'm live, and you know that there's a reason to tune in because there's something going on in Central Florida that I'm going to be live talking about. Friends, have a great rest of your Tuesday. Again, I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you next time whenever the weather gets active here in Central Florida.